Well, hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault, and it is Frazer, Brookes, and Adrian. I got the wrong son. That's all I'm trying to figure out.
I got the wrong dad, so that makes two of us, buddy.
And Simon got the wrong son, too. Holy mackerel. Hello, everybody. Good morning. We are up so early. It's so late at night over in Dubai. This is the Legacy Leadership Radio Show, and we've got Adrian and Frazer here, my two boys.
It's going to be fun, man.
Yeah. So the initial plan, Frazer and I were going to do the show live in Dubai from a bathtub, and you guys missed it. So that's what's so sad, because I chickened out because I didn't want to fly all over I'm just too old. So I made up every excuse in the book, and I'll deal with Sperry when I get here. But unbelievable. How are you, Frazer?
I'm so good. It would have been better if we were in person and I could have held your hand and we could have done this from the bathtub and all that fun stuff. But yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. It's good to see you, Dad. It's really good to see you, Dad. I'm good. Life's good.
I told you to bring your father along, and
I've sent him the link, so we'll see.
Yeah, if he shows up, he shows up. Just can tell him he's got 59 minutes to wake up and come on. But that's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And Frazer, one of your number one fans in the world who we just love is this gal, Christina Zaharia, who just jumped on here. And I want to give her a shout out because she is just stepping up in a huge way, and you're a big part of it. And so we love you, Christina. Good to see you on here. And we got some awesome people in the house. Ron Henley's here. This is going to be a great show today.
Good. I'm glad Henley's here. But here's the deal. Before we get wild and nuts, here's what's going to happen. When I met Eric, I was with Eric Worre, and he was telling me that he believed the future of spokesman for the profession was this kid from Germany named Frazer Brookes. And I said, like Richard's son? And they go, no, Simon's son. And I had known Simon for many, many years, Frazer's dad. And it was so exciting to hear that this kid had grown up and decided to take on being the next Zig Ziglar, being the next real big deal in network marketing in the world. And like seriously, like this is his mission and his mantra to be those guys. And this year we lost some seriously, seriously good people. You think about Bob Proctor. You think about Bob Crisp. You think about those people that carried the torch like Frazer's picking up, and it's unbelievable, and we lost him. And Ron Henley posted the most unbelievable long post you've ever read in your life on his wall on Facebook, and I shared it before this show because I want you to all read it because it's serious work. And Bob Crisp died a few days ago. And he had 465,000 people in his Amway business. And he wrote these two classics called Raising a Giant and Feeding a Giant that were absolutely the best books out there until this one came along. But you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, Frazer. But the point I make is we're going to do a big tribute to him on Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern time on TomChenaultZoom.com. And you want to come. People are going to just do 5-minute tributes. And Bob Crisp was hated as much as he was loved because he was a character of epic proportion. And people will say, man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be wild, and it's going to be good. And I'll tell you, if you get that big, people are going to take shots at you. And it will, no matter what happens, we're going to have a blast. And we're going to remember this guy because he never gave up on this profession, just like his heir apparent, Frazer Brookes. So Adrian, take it away, baby.
Yeah, this is, I think that is such a perfect tee up because I think that one of the things that I have really appreciated about what you do in particular, Frazer, is I think it really is built on that foundation of the way that you treat people and the way that you show up in the world. And that isn't even really a network marketing specific thing at all. It's really about who you are as a human first, and then how that ultimately translates into the way that you go about building a business. And so my question for you is how did that develop for you? Especially, you talk about having been a really shy, young person, really uncomfortable being in front of a crowd, and yet you have sort of stepped into that How did that come about?
Well, I think I remember going to an event with my mum and dad. I probably was about 7 or 8 at the time. And I remember just being at this event. And for those of you who've been at network marketing events, you'll know what I mean when I say this. But you kind of walk into the room, and then all of a sudden, atoms are created through everyone just hugging one another. Oh, hey, Julie, how you doing? Woo, hey, Doug, hey, good to see you. Hey, Denise. Denise gets an extra long hug, right? Hey, Ron, like, hey, high five. And I remember saying to my dad, Dad, do you know these people? He said, yeah, I've known them. And he talks about them as if they were family. I'm like, Dad, I've never seen them at a family party. I've never seen them at a birthday. I've never seen them anywhere. I only see them at these hotel events. He said, yeah, they're like family. And he treated them. He never hugged any of my uncles, my aunties, my cousins. He never hugged them like he hugged these guys. And it was since then that I actually remember growing up. I was about 10 years old. We went to a restaurant. It was after one of the events. And I just hugged the waiter. I went, hey, good to see you. And he said, welcome to Don Luigi's. And I just hugged him. Never met him before. And my mum and dad were like, oh, this is kind of awkward. And I just thought that that's what you did. You just, in order to be a good human being, you just had to treat other people good. And I really believe that I love my mum and dad because they showed me love first. And the more love you give, the more you get it back. So that's just kind of how it happened for me. It was just seeing it firsthand by my parents and then realizing that I've never really seen anyone hug someone and then walk away and be like, oh, I hate that guy. But I've seen many people on one side of the room and the other side of the room who will never high five, never shake hands, never hug, and then be like, I love that guy. No, so I just thought I'd rather hug and high five someone and be a good human being than be the opposite. So that's kind of where it comes from.
You probably ought to thank Eric Worre for launching you. You were invisible until he picked you up and put you under his wing. He's watching the show and he's like, oh yeah, no kidding. All of us, Jiminy Christmas, we'd be nowhere without him. So we better say something nice about him. But I mean, you flew over so many times and I just contemplated flying over to Dubai and chickened out. And you've been to Eric's house like 50 times. You two are two peas in a pod because you'll just go anywhere in the world to change the world. And you guys fell in love for that reason. Is that right?
Yeah, no, it's hard to fall in love with the guy when you spend a decent amount of time with him. It's I look at like the music industry, like, you know, the Jay-Z and the Kanye West and the Justin Bieber. They kind of bless upcoming artists and rappers, and like I think Dr. Dre blessed Eminem. And I always look at that and feel that I'm grateful that like Dr. Dre, Eric Worre blessed me, by having me on one of his songs, having me on one of his stages. So I'm super grateful for that. It's been a blessing for me, and I always want to make sure I repay the favor. And I'm someone who always remembers my breaks, always remembers my breakthroughs, always remembers my breakdowns. And it just shapes the person I am, you know. I'm very grateful for that opportunity, and I took it, right, and I did something with it. But that's another story on how that happened as well, because that might not happen.
With it. No, you didn't. You constantly tried to one up him on Facebook followers and all kinds of jazz, and you did. You elevated everybody, and we all had to get better because here's this little snot-nosed kid from Germany out there really schooling us. But what I loved about you was you knew social media and you have levered that up, but you never lost your network marketing roots. You have never said abandon people. You have got to embrace them. They're going to join you with a click. They're going to leave you with a click unless you build that relationship. And you've done unbelievably well at that. I'm on your Telegram group. I can't get away from you. And all I feel is love, not a pitch. And I love that about you.
It's what it's all about. I'm a great believer that network marketing's in the shipping business. It starts with a friendship, then turns into a relationship. Then you have to see who has the entrepreneurship to start a partnership. Then with your mentorship, you create leadership. And then with the leadership, you win a championship. So I'm a great believer that it's all about the shipping. I know Tom's was thinking what's just happened. But it's all about you'll go through hardship. It'll go off like a rocket ship. Some people lose their ship, right? Some people jump ship. Ship happens, right? So it's.
I promise you, he's got a teleprompter. Nobody could have done that. Unbelievable. Again, one more time, made us all look ancient. How does he do it?
It's all a bunch of bullshit as far as I'm concerned.
Really, really cool. But that's what you do,
Well
and you've
said.
done it. And you are synonymous with fun, with creating big stuff, and we can't thank you enough. Where do people find you if they want to look for you right now? When we're going to go to a break, and I want people during the commercial, especially on Genesis Communication Network, who sponsored this show. God bless Ted Anderson. How do we find you?
If you're on Facebook right now, search my name, Frazer Brookes. You will find me. I've got a profile on the page. I'm more active on the profile, but yeah, let's connect there and shoot me a message. I'd love to connect with you further. Be cool.
Okay, cool, man. And don't you love him?
I just do. We love Frazer.
Yeah,
It's a thing.
it's a thing.
You guys.
You
guys.
But I think that's so important. And so do talk a little bit about that. We got 2 minutes till the next break, but talk about that moment where, I believe kind of the first part of it was that Eric chose you and a handful of other people who were really leading on social media. And that was kind of the entry point for you, wasn't it, Frazer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember going to Eric's house. I'll do the condensed version. I remember going to Eric's house. There's about 15 of us. And I was absolutely petrified because I had the imposter syndrome. And I think I manifested that something bad was going to happen because I was in the airport and I was checking in. I was super nervous. I was super excited at the same time. And the woman said, "So have you got your Esther?" I said, no, my wife's not coming with me and her name's not Esther. She said, no, Esther, it's like an electronic something visa that you need to get into the country. I said, no. She said, you have about 10 minutes to get it and it takes 15 minutes. Go. Here's the website. And I almost didn't make it to his house. After the break, I'll tell you what happened when I got into his house. But yeah, I just by the skin of my teeth got on the plane. And I'm so grateful that I did because, I had to perform in front of all these legends that I looked up to. Jordan Adler was in the room. Todd Falcone was in the room. Ray Higdon, Bob Heilig, Rob Sperry, Brian Fryer, Rachel Pekarik, Angel Fletcher. Tom was there in spirit. So was Denise. Eric's there. Marina's there. The whole team's there. And there's little old me, a lad from Liverpool, thinking, what are these guys going to think about me? What happens if I say something wrong? And I just did my absolute best to make sure that I knocked it out of the park. And I feel like I did. And since then, they were like, we want you on the stage at GoPro. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I just took my moment with both hands and ran with it. And I'm grateful that I did.
Before you think that I wasn't invited, it was social media. And when I told them I had a Commodore 64, they said, you can't come. We'll be back right after this.
Love it. That's so awesome. Denise, you such a tribute, but I had to wait till the commercial because I knew it was gonna cover our faces because it was so beautiful. Denise, we love you. That is so awesome. So we're doing really quick breaks now, Frazer. So we're gonna come back here in about 10 seconds and we'll pick back up with the Eric story. And this is awesome.
I like it.
They got tired of my commercials.
Svetlana said, I'd really like to have dinner. So we're moving things along. All right.
And we're back. It is the Legacy Leadership Radio Show with Tom Chenault, Frazer Brookes, Adrian Chenault, and we are having a blast. And you just can't help but love this guy. He's all energy, and he really fakes people out because they just can't figure out what makes him tick, and they have no idea how deep and how smart he really is, which is an unbelievable skill. He's relatable at every level. But I'm going to tell you one thing right now. This is one of the guys that you're going to be following in another 30, 40 years too. So whatever you do, pay attention to him today. Get in his crosshairs because this guy is an influencer of epic proportion. Take it away.
I totally agree. So
it's like Lisa Grossman.
I know we love her, and she came in, hung out with the contact mapping crew yesterday, and blew the roof off that place, didn't she?
She's the best.
Wow.
So, all right, Frazer, we got to hear the rest of the story. So you luckily you type 175 words per minute with perfect accuracy. You get your visa. They let you on the plane, and what happened next?
So I'm on the plane, and I'm thinking, what the heck am I going to say? Because I didn't really get any warning. I didn't know how long I was speaking for. And this is me, the only way for me to get over my nerves is prepare. And I prepare. I didn't know what I was preparing for. I had no idea. I was just turning up, and I kept looking at this website with all these faces on, you know, Rob Sperry, Bob Heilig, Todd Falcone, Ray Higdon, Eric and Marina Warren. I'm thinking, like, why is my face there? Like, I'm not American. All these names and faces are American. So I was given all these excuses. Anyway, I got in the room, and Eric, about 2 minutes before we go live, said, I'm going to come to each one of you. You probably have 15 to 20 minutes. Just talk about something that you think's helpful. And at the time, I was really big into studying the algorithm. Tom said that I'm smart. I'm smart at social media and network marketing. I'm just very glad that I found what I'm smart at. You do not want me on your quiz team. Like, I will let you down. I will lose the quiz for you. I will get negative points for you, right? But network marketing, social media team, I'm gonna be your captain. So I'm just about to go on. I'm thinking, I know a lot about the algorithm. I'm going to talk about the Facebook algorithm and how people can get more reach and engagement on their Facebook posts. So I wrote some notes down on like my palms. Obviously, the palm got sweaty and it was all a waste of time. I went into the bathroom at the house that he was living in. It was next to the kitchen. And I remember just going into the bathroom, didn't know if I wanted to be sick or if I needed like a nervous wee or the other one. And instead, I just clapped 10 times super loud. And I remember walking out the bathroom, and Ray Higdon was stood at the door, and he was like, are you okay? Like, you just heard like 10 loud claps in the bathroom. I walked out, did my thing, talked about the algorithm, gave some tips about cleaning your friends list, talking about what you love, do short, sweet posts, make it obvious, make it clear. And I just came off the virtual stage to like all these high fives and hugs from all these people I've followed for all over the years and admired and respected and looked up to. And I thought, was it good? Was it that good? And Eric then did something that I was actually surprised that he did, but he asked the people who attended. He said, so guys, this was like maybe an hour after I'd spoke. Who was your favorite speaker so far? Now, I understand marketing and positioning. So I told the people who were on the social media summit who had bought through my link, whenever you see me, just go, Frazer, 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 woo, yeah, Frazer, Frazer. Whenever my name's mentioned, just go, Frazer, 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 woo, Frazer, 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 yeah. And I'll give you a super cool bonus. That's it was an ethical bribe, right? Anyway, so Eric then says, who's been your favorite speaker so far? And we're gasping behind the scenes like, oh, you can't do that. Anyway, Frazer, 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 Frazer. And since then, it just went crazy. And you know, it's I don't like talking about myself so much. I'm the guy who's behind the stage. When you edify me, I'm the guy who's cringing. Like, oh no. I'm the guy who's like, oh no, that's not me. That's not me. I just don't accept it very well. But that was the moment that, yeah, a lot of my exposure in my business changed just because I took my chance. I just took my chance. I was grateful to get it, but I was also grateful for the fact that I know my stuff and I just spoke it.
I love that, and I don't know if you did it on purpose, but that was a very sort of Eminem, do not miss your chance to blow kind of moment right there, little Eminem.
Well,
so
actually,
that was pretty
right.
good.
Right.
Who gives themselves a round of applause when after they go to the bathroom? Ray Higdon had to be creeped out. I hope he washed his hands. But that is so awesome. And you are amazing. And that's what you have to do. If you don't promote yourself, nobody else is going to. And you are good at it without looking like you're doing it. And we love that about you. And so let's go to a break. Why don't you take us out?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So while we're on the break, make sure you go check out Frazer on social media or on his website. It's Frazer with just an ER at the end, and then Brookes with an ES at the end. So FrazerBrookes.com. Make sure you go check him out or go find him on social media. If for no other reason, the only two people in the world that I have on See First just to see what crazy stuff is going to come out of their mouth are the other two people on this screen besides me right now. So I promise you, no matter what, you will be entertained by what these two maniacs are up to. And it's worth the price of admission for that alone. So we're coming back right after this. You're listening to the Legacy Leadership Radio Show with Adrian and Tom Chenault and the incredible Frazer Brookes. We'll be right back.
How long's the break?
Maybe we should go.
Well, no, I'm going to go to the bathroom and see if I can clap 10 times.
Oh, there we go.
That's unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would actually help your personality.
That would launch my career.
I forget how many breaks you guys do in the US. Like, I think there's more break time than go time.
You just should be happy that we're not.
It's called. What was he talking about? The breaks on the radio?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called radio, not podcast. It's like they really do it where they're
All right,
sponsors.
shut up.
Gee, oh my God. Welcome back to the Legacy Leadership Radio Show with Tom Chenault and Adrian Chenault and Frazer Brookes. And the reason I emphasize the word radio is because we're on the radio. And Adrian gets mad at me when I said radio because he said nobody even knows.
I did it to troll you on the outro.
He said no one even knows what a radio is anymore, Dad, but he is wrong. And those of us over the age of, I'm guaranteeing you, we know what radio is. And thank all of you, 550 radio stations listening to this, because radio rocks. And back to you.
Check us out on Telegraph. No, Telegram. No. I don't know. It's carrier pigeons. All right. So, Frazer, your star, I know you don't like all the accolades, but your star has continued to rise and rise. And you talked a little bit about imposter syndrome coming into that whole thing. And you have been on one heck of a run since then. And that doesn't sustain itself if you don't keep growing alongside of it. And so how have you managed, what have you been doing to keep yourself growing and to stay in front of this audience that loves you so much and continue to lead them through these last several years where you have grown such a huge following?
Well, this is great because when I started, I was living in a studio apartment in the basement in a city or a town called Lüneburg, which is just outside of Hamburg. Now I was there because Svetlana, who was my girlfriend at the time, she's my wife now, right? Just to make that clear, right? So my girlfriend at the time, she was studying there. She was studying a master's. So the ceiling, it was probably maybe 190, 195, the ceiling height. There was a bit of damp in there, but I'm a great believer in hungry dogs run faster. So, and the reason why I wanted to be in the studio park, I could afford more, but I just knew that there's no TV, there's no distraction. It's just go time, deliver. And as we as I grew, I wanted to move place. I wanted to be around people who weren't students living in this different apartment. I wanted to be around young professionals who were, maybe driving the nicer cars, who were wearing the nicer clothes. I just wanted to grow. And it got to the stage where we were living, I needed to change environment, so much so that we packed up everything and we moved to Dubai, which is not just moving country, it's moving continent. It's not just moving English speaking, it's moving complete different cultures. And I was playing golf today with Brian Fryer. I know you guys love Brian Fryer too. And he said, which one? Because we're playing on the golf course and you can see the buildings in the background. He says, which one do you live in? And I say, that one. I point to it. He said, what floor are you on? And I said, the 47th. He said, the 47th floor. And I was like, yeah, are you not scared of heights? Are you not I said, no, because all the buildings around me, they're all higher than where I am. And for me, this has been the key to me is I've always got to be surrounded by people who are playing the game at a higher level or doing bigger and better things, who are, I look up to them instead of looking down at them. I hate looking down. I hate looking down at people. I think because I don't like getting looked down at. Treat everyone like a someone. It doesn't matter how much success you've got. Never look down at someone. So I always want to look up. I want to look up. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And when Eric and Marina came over to Dubai recently, Eric asked me, and Marina asked me a question, what's the next thing? And I was like, I don't have the next thing. I've got a bit comfortable. And then we were talking about the hungry dogs run faster. I said, I've got a fat dog. I'm not hungry right now, but it's because I'm always looking to get myself around mainly the right masterminds, the right mentors. The books I like, but haven't completed books. But I feel like I'm more mentor driven. I'm more mastermind driven. So I'm trying to find those environments. Great believer in if you take a bad seed, you put it in a good soil, it can grow into a very fruitful tree or a great shelter. I just like to put myself in the right environments, associate myself with the right people, and it's amazing what happens. And that's how I've been able to grow and keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing and identify the seasons and appreciate that sometimes we've got to take a step back to be able to go forward. I love the game Monopoly for that. You land on a chance card, you land on a community chest. It says 3 steps back. Well, you roll the dice 2 or 3 times and you've gone past where you were before anyway. So yeah, it's a fun game and I love the game we play. It's service led. Service is great. Serving is greater than selling. And the moment that you serve more than you sell, you'll end up selling more than you can ever imagine. It's a great game.
So the last time I went to do an event with you, we did it in Siberia. Are you going to do something a little warmer this time? Do you remember that thing in England when you did it in the warehouse in the middle of the winter with no wind? It was, you guys, it was the craziest thing you've ever seen. Yeah. It was like, I don't even know what to tell you how cold it was. I was literally sitting on Rob Sperry's lap for body heat.
Don't try to blame the room on that.
It was so exciting, and you had so many people there that braved those conditions to hang out with you for 3 days. And I'm just telling you, you're amazing. And I can hardly wait for you to do an event in Dubai. I probably won't come to, but it will be so exciting. So yeah, man.
Yeah, it was. That was an interesting event. Tony Robbins would have been proud at how cold that room was. That's all I'm gonna say. It was. I think there was 3 reports of frostbite, and yeah, it was cold.
Tony Robbins would have been proud. That's the winning quote of the day right there. So talk a little bit about that, right? Like, obviously we've been through a bizarre few years that has made it near impossible to do much in the way of gathering people physically together. You know, what's the future for you in terms of, are you chomping at the bit? Are you planning something big? Are you still kind of like, I'm trying to figure out what the future holds from that perspective? Because I think that's a big question for a lot of trainers out there.
I'm a great believer in that we all need to level up to reduce the leadership gap that's going on right now. So I could tell you countless of stories in the UK and Europe mainly, because that's where the majority of my audience is, but countless of stories of people in the UK and Europe who are making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 a month, right? No income claims, and that's just what they're making, who could not spell Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Or could not give you a Jim Rohn quote, or could not tell you what the 7 steps of network marketing to become a network marketing professional by Eric Worre are. And that scares the living daylights out of me.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't know and they're not passing this legacy on. I believe it's our duty to pass on the lessons that Jim Rohn has given to us, that Bill Britt and Dexter Yeager and Bob Crisp and Bob Proctor and Zig Ziglar, all these legends. I think it's our duty. Now we might put our own spin on it. It might need a little bit of updating, but I dare and challenge any one of you to go and listen to half an hour of Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, Bob Crisp, and see if it's relevant today, because it is. It all is, and it always will be. So for me, it's tactics are going to change. Social media platforms are going to change, and they're going to adapt and all this. The fundamentals have to be passed on. That needs to be a legacy of the industry. And then the fun that gets sprinkled in is the social media, the TikToks, the Reels, the Lives, the podcasts, and all these different things that go on. But I think we need to reduce the leadership gap. We need to make sure that people are learning and growing and understanding the philosophies and the principles. And, if we were to say, hey, who are the top 5 network marketers of all time? A lot of people are going to get the same names in their top 5. So yeah, I think it's very, very, very important that we do this collectively, because I'm scared otherwise. I really am.
Face-to-face meetings. Eric put out a big list a couple of weeks ago where he said, if you've got human connection with people, you've got a 10x advantage on everything else. And with all the social media going on, people seem striving to forget that. And it's the most important part. It's important to get people into, obviously, the funnel with the social media and stuff like that. But at the point that they're actually interacting, you've got to treat them like human beings, right, Frazer?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, you go to the cinema, like, again, you guys can challenge yourself to this. Watch a movie, watch a 1.5 hour movie at home, and then watch, and the next day, a 1.5 hour movie in the cinema, right? Maybe pick like 2 Marvel movies, so they're similar movies. I guarantee that you spend more time on your phone when you're watching the movie at home versus when you're in the cinema. You almost never look at your phone when you're in the cinema. First of all, it's frowned upon. But second of all, you're engaged in the environment that you're in. So using that analogy, the cinema is the in-person event, and the watching it from home is you watching a Zoom call from home. It's not a priority, so you don't treat it like priority. You don't treat it like priority. You don't get the breakthrough that you deserve. And this is from someone who praises and teaches social media all day long. I'm telling you, fundamentals, in person, human connection, hugs, laughs, cries. You can laugh together. You can cry together online. You cannot hug one another. You cannot hug one another offline, online. So you need to get in front of people, and you need to be able to do that. That's how you create culture and community.
Well, and, that's a really nice kind of dovetail, because the way you think about social media, I think, is very, like, you are not. I'm putting words in your mouth. You can correct me, but you're not really an attraction marketing kind of a guru. The way you think about social media is very distinct, in my opinion, from the way most people are thinking about that. And so, talk about how you think about social media and what makes your way of doing it a bit different.
Well, I think for me, I got tired. There was two things that I got tired about when I was in the field before I became speaker, trainer, coach, from a generic point of view. I was tired of going to events and getting the wow, but never the how. I was like, wow. But like Monday morning, I don't know what I'm doing. And yes, you got to wow yourself before you how yourself, right? So you kind of like, oh my God, I really want to do this. And then you go do it. But the second thing for me was marketers out there, especially people who make money from selling products, they will just teach you the things that they think that they believe that you need to know to be successful. So like I used to do it, and this is what I'm telling you. You need to buy this course because it's going to teach you everything you need to know about the Facebook and Instagram algorithm. That is not going to build you a legacy ever. But I know that it's going to sell, so I'll do a course on that. So the way I see social media is a great way to create connections, build your list, and communicate. Those are the three things, like connect to people, grow your list, communicate. And I think if you try and do more than that, you are going to become obsessed with social media, and you'll just be like, yeah, I'm not going to really bother with the offline world because I'm just crushing it on social media. What I can do in 3 hours, it takes me to drive to a meeting for an hour, be at the meeting for an hour, do the after a meeting for an hour, come back an hour. In those 4 hours, I could do like 4 Facebook Lives, 3 Instagram Reels, 2 TikTok videos, and send 100 messages, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. You cannot compare them. So for me, social media is amazing to grow a list and create community and communicate a message. But you've got to do the fundamentals and know the tactics. You have to do both. You cannot ignore both. You cannot.
All right, we're going to take another last break. So stick around. This is the Legacy Leadership Radio Show. Thank you.
Atta baby.
I did a great job.
You got it. It's early.
Got there in the end. That's all that matters.
He's going to get me a tattoo for my palm.
There we go.
Not my palm. All right.
All right. So let's lean into legacy on this last little segment here, Frazer, and talk about how you're thinking about legacy of the work that you're doing. And obviously you got a lot of time left to pour into that legacy, but I think what you're doing has such an impact. So that's where we'll go for this last little segment here.
Corbin's still working for you?
Of course, he's our best coach.
Okay, good. And we're back. It is the Legacy Leadership Radio Show. Tom Chenault, Adrian Chenault, Legacy Leadership. Think about that a little bit. Think about what Frazer, little boy, decided to embrace the profession and create a legacy that was started by his mom and dad. It's unbelievable. His brother Corbin in his business with him, rocking it just as big with his dog. And it's just, I've seen this whole thing evolve, and it's so beautiful to see this family changing the world and knowing that it's not done. That Frazer is going to have a family, and hopefully this continues on. And I want you to think about what you're doing with your life, because this isn't about you. It's so much bigger than that. And that's why I want you to come on Sunday and watch this tribute to Bob Crisp, because you are going to hear Ron Henley read what he posted on Facebook. You're going to see people that have been in this profession for longer than you've been born, more excited about it than ever because of people like Frazer Brookes and people like that. You have got to listen to what Frazer's going to say right now and what Adrian's going to say, because these guys have picked up the flag and they're carrying it forward.
That's a perfect way of thinking about this, because that is, I think, one of the most amazing things about you, Frazer, is the fact that you have been in network marketing about 9 months longer than you've been alive, and that you really, there's other people like that in the world, but I think have the depth of appreciation and love and understanding of the shoulders that you're standing on in your amazing parents and in all these other mentors along the way. And so how do you think about your work and your duty and your opportunity to pay that contribution forward in the world?
Well, a few things. So I remember walking through London. This was probably when I was about 12. So family trip, me, my brother, my mum, my dad, we were walking through London, and we were going through like Trafalgar Square in London, for those of you who've been to London. And there's a big statue. I always forget the name of the person whose statue it is. So it's like Lord Nelson or something like that. My bad for not knowing my own history, right? But I remember like a pigeon. There's a lot of pigeons in London. A pigeon came flying by, landed on its shoulder, and pooped on the statue's shoulder. And I laughed, and then my dad was like, "Why are you laughing?" And I said, "The pigeons just pooped on the statue." He said, "But yeah, do you one day want a statue of yourself? It'd be okay to be pooped on instead of not being pooped on, right? It's good to be seen and never be seen." And I remember thinking, "Yeah, well, Dad, how do I get a statue?" And he said, "People don't build statues of people based on the amount of money that they've made. They build statues based on the significance that they bring." And I've never ever forgot that. And I've always thought that legacy is always going to beat currency. The day Lord Nelson, there we go. Thanks, Bo. The day you die is the day that people stop mentioning your name, right? The day you die is people like Jim Rohn, to me, is still alive. Bob Proctor's still alive. Zig Ziglar's still alive. Bob Crisp's still alive. He's still living. We've mentioned him a number of times today, right? So these are the things that have helped me. But my biggest struggle was when I started, when I was 28, going on the generic route. The generic route for me was just significance. It was fulfillment. It was mission. It was service. I was 28, and almost no one believed me. Like, how can you be building your legacy at 28 years old? Like, how can you be on a mission of service at 28 years old? Every other 28-year-old I know is chasing girls, buying cars, traveling the world, wanting money, wanting career, wanting progression. And I was just focused on the mission. But it's because I'd seen so many people over the years from a network marketing background who had passed on, and people were still talking about them. And I thought, I don't know anyone else who keeps getting talked about, unless you're like top sports coach or top sportsman, and they get a minute silence. So like thousands of people are watching them, and they get a minute silence. I want a minute silence. I want a service. I want people to be teaching my stuff and reading my books, whether I'm here or not. And that was the hardest part of the journey, is building a legacy. Even now, I'm 33 years old, building a legacy at 33. A lot of people just still don't believe that that's what my intentions are. But I tell you what, when your intention is legacy, there's never a day that you're not happy. You have your moments, but overall, every day is like, you know what, I've helped someone. And a lot of people ask me, for those of you who can see this, I have a light bulb on my desk, and this is my daily method of operation. And it's for a bingo moment. I call them bingo moments. People call them light bulb moments, hence the light bulb. The light bulb's much better than having a bingo wheel here. So my daily method of operation is to help someone new and learn something new. If I help someone new, I feel fulfilled. My mission has progressed. And if I learn something new, then I grow. And that's all I do every day. And I don't go to bed until I do it. I learn something new. I help someone new. And that's just how I make sure that my legacy is going to get met, and how my mission is progressing. So there, yeah.
You're going to do.
That's so cool. And, the secret is that because of living that way, you have that impact, you have that legacy, you have that contribution, and you got all the other things that you chose not to chase as the primary. You got the car, you got the girl, you got it all, and you deserve it because of the way that you really seek first to contribute to people. And I always, with any leader, with any big personality, with any somebody with a following, the trick is to watch them when they don't think somebody's looking, the moment they come off stage, the moment when it's, when it would be easy to kind of let their guard down and their true colors show. And Frazer stands at the top of my list of people that walk their talk and that always have time for other people and always love others. And so, Frazer, thank you for that. It inspires me. It blows me away what a young man you are, what poise you have, and how many more years of goodness we have to come from you. So we love you, man. He's the best.
All right.
So what a great show. Thank you all for listening. Stick around after the show for a minute, Frazer, but we love you. This has been the Legacy Leadership Show. We'll see you next week. We're out.
All right. Don't get up on Facebook. You did a great job, man. Thanks for all the contact mapping plugs. That was awesome. What you guys know, I love you. Frazer is the most tightly wound guy that you don't realize he's so tightly wound. And I was backstage with him one time and he was hyperventilating. So wherever he's speaking now virtually all over the world, I make sure I text him 5 minutes before he goes on and say something so perverted. It's unbelievable to try to get him out of his head. And I know he reads it because I can feel it. And it's awesome. So you are the best, man. I love you.
I appreciate it, guys. It's impossible to not feel like the best person in the world after speaking to you guys. Either one of you, but combined is like, I'm gonna have to go and have a lie down and just, balance the world out because there's too much love coming in my direction. It's you guys are the best. And I do think that I could get away with being a Chenault. You mentioned Brookes earlier. I'll tell you a funny story before we close out. I went to an event, probably the first or second event that I ever went to, like a generic speaker. There's about 400 people in the room. It was in Coventry, about Midlands in the UK. And the person who edified me basically said his dad is a best-selling author to the popular book, The 4-Year Career. Who's read it? And you could hear everyone was like, "Oh, I love that book." And I'm like, "Oh no, Richard Bliss Brookes is not my dad." But I can't make this. So I go up to the stage and I'm talking about, if you haven't read The 4-Year Career, make sure you go ahead and buy it. It's a great book by a great author. I could not bring myself to tell the person who edified me that they completely buggered that up, and that was not true. So Richard, if you're watching, I think you got quite a few book sales from that one, mate.
I've signed more. People think I'm Brookes. So I swear to God, they think I'm Brookes. So I'm always signing 4-year careers, and I sign them F-U. They think it means follow up. And then I sign my name in his books because the poor guy's so ugly, he looks like me. And I swear, he's got the LASIK surgery. So he's looking at you. I took off my glasses. He's looking at you like this. I swear he's doing that to try to not look like Tom Chenault. Because it's hysterical. So we both have exactly the same problem. They think I'm him. And they literally, when they realize it's Tom Chenault, not Richard Brookes, they grab the book back and turn around without even saying goodbye. They just go, "You are a loser. Who are you?" It is so funny. I feel your pain. Unbelievable.
It's Bruce. I'm glad that you look like a completely different person without your glasses too. I'm glad that I'm not the only person. Oh yeah, plus, this is like
I'm looking at the camera right now. I had like a stroke or something. So this eye is like this eye aims over here, and this eye aims over here. So I look like one of those guys now. So I'm going to probably have to get those Foster grants that you can't see my eyeballs here pretty quick because something happened, man. My eyes aren't even the same. So to take me worse than I looked before is very, very difficult, but it's happened. And I'm trying to choose it and not be embarrassed about it and speak publicly about my pain. How do you like
that?
We
go, mate. There we go. I love it.
All right, we're out of here.
Frazer, thanks again. Give our best to Svetlana. Have fun this week. We're feeling major FOMO from not getting to be over there, but we love you and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Big love.
Love you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.